الحمد لله رب العالمين، والصلاة والسلام على المبعوث رحمة للعالمين وعلى آله وصحبه وأزواجه أجمعين. أما بعد. In 1928 in Egypt, Hassan al-Banna rahimahullah founded the group known as Al-Ikhwan al-Muslimun, the Muslim Brotherhood, as a reaction to the dissolving of the Uthmani Khilafah a few years before. Hassan al-Banna is the most important personality in the Ikhwan al-Muslimun. He's the founder. He formulated their ideas and a number of their practices. Also, what he wrote functions as a constitution for Al-Ikhwan al-Muslimun. And today we will talk about the group from the words of Hassan al-Banna. The best way to describe Al-Ikhwan al-Muslimun is through the words of the founder, Hassan al-Banna, who described the group Al-Ikhwan al-Muslimun as being دعوة سلفية, a Salafi call, mission, وطريقة سنية, and a Sunni path or way, وحقيقة صوفية, and a Sufi essence, وهيئة سياسية, and a political organization, وجماعة رياضية, and a sports club, ورابطة علمية وثقافية, and a scientific and cultural association, وشركة اقتصادية, and a business company, وفكرة اجتماعية, and a social idea. That's the description of Al-Ikhwan from the words of Hassan al-Banna, who also described Islam this way. Islam is عبادة, worship, وقيادة, and leadership, ودين, and a religion, ودولة, and a state, وروحانية, and has to do with the spiritual entity. We'll explain, inshallah. وعمل, and action, وصلاة, prayer, وجهاد, and jihad, وطاعة, obedience, وحكم, authority and ruling, ومصحف, and the mushaf is the copy of the Quran is called mushaf, وسيف, and a sword. Then he said, لا ينفك واحد من هؤلاء عن الآخر, that all these parts are inseparable from each other. And by the way, the mushaf and the sword are the banner of Al-Ikhwan al-Muslimun. So in 1928, Hassan al-Banna founded Al-Ikhwan al-Muslimun in Egypt. Soon after, branches started appearing, flourishing in various areas of the Muslim world. Today, it is a worldwide organization or group, Hizb, a sect by itself, and it is found throughout the Muslim world and also non-Muslim countries and areas. How he described the Jama'atul Ikhwan al-Muslimun, it's difficult to keep saying al-Muslimun, because in Arabic, according to the position of the word in the sentence, sometimes al-Ikhwanu al-Muslimun, al-Ikhwani al-Muslimin. So we'll stick to al-Ikhwanu al-Muslimun, that it is a Salafi call, mission. As-Salaf al-Salih are the first 3 generations of Islam. described by the Prophet of Islam Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wasallam as the best people, khayrun nas. This hadith is found in Bukhari and Muslim, other books of hadith. It's from the mutawatir grade, authentic, highest grade of authentic ahadith. Khayrun nas, the best people. Qarni are my generation. ثم الذين يلونهم, and then the next generation. ثم الذين يلونهم, and then the next generation. These are called as-Salaf al-Salih, the righteous predecessors of Muslims, the best people, the ones who established Islam for humanity in creed, statement, practices, actions. They are the ones who established Islam for the world, and they are the best people. So he said that our group is a Salafi call, also a Sunni path. And I'm not sure how to describe what he meant by Sunni here, unless he meant it as a contradiction to the Shia. I'm not sure, because of the connection between Al-Ikhwan and Shia is well known. وحقيقة صوفية, and a Sufi essence. Now, being a political organization has to do with sports, with science, culture, social activities, business activities. That's fine. Islam is a total way of life. That's what we teach. That's what we call to. Islam is a total way of life, including politics. Because without ruling by what Allah has revealed, Islam will be absent from the life of the Muslims, at least with regards to ruling by what Allah has revealed. So, now, if I disregard what tariqatun sunniya, let's talk about Salafiyya, Sufiyya. They don't mix with each other. That's the truth. Because the Salafi method is to abide by the way the companions of Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wasallam understood and practiced the religion, all of which they learned from the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wasallam. Abiding by their method, the way they understood and practiced the religion. This includes rejection of every kind of bid'ah, innovation in the religion, and extremism. Sufiyya is different. At a minimum, the Sufiyya is built on acts of worship that are added or deleted from, and they are the practices of the general public of the Sufism. That it's built at a minimum on innovation in matters of worship. Now, these innovations can be only that, and in this regard, they will definitely go opposed to the Salafi da'wah that calls to abiding by the Quran and Sunnah without addition or deletion. And here we are, Sufi groups, they keep inventing things in the religion in the way they practice the religion. This is the minimum, as I said. However, the Sufis are not only that. So many things in Sufism, so many ideas and practices and groups and sects, starting with what we just stated, to which some of the scholars of Islam fell into. And may Allah forgive them. But above that, beyond that, is the ideas that Allah incarnates in the creation, just like the Christian idea, reaching to the way of what Ibn Arabi said, Ibn Arabi, who organized the Sufi groups as never before. As never before. He is inseparable from the Sufi ideas and practices, and uh, like a sacred personality, and they defend him and defend his ideas. Among his ideas is that everything and everyone is Allah. You see, started with the practices, acts of worship, a few, many, all the way to incarnation, all the way to everything and everyone is Allah. Ibn Arabi promoted this kufr and shirk, and until today, to Sufis, he's untouchable. They would defend him. They would try to twist his ideas to make them mean something good. So, which one? Now we know that Hassan al-Banna was a Sufi from the Hasafi and then the Shadili ways or tariqa, turuq of the Sufis. He was a Sufi. Didn't deny that he was a Sufi. He mentioned he was a Sufi in his books or in what he left behind in terms of letters and a biography of himself, things that he used to do, especially during Al-Mawlid. He also said that my group is a Sufi essence, or in essence, it is Sufi. How can you bring Salafi and Sufi together? Also, the Sunnis, depending on exactly what he means, the Sunnis doesn't really reflect the obedience of the way of Salaf al-Salih, because among the Sunnis you have all kinds of groups such as generally Sunnis, such as various kinds of Sufis, the Ash'aris, and people who took philosophy in the way of the creed and other things, and political sects and groups. So they don't mix together at a minimum. The Salafis and Sufis, they don't mix together. How can you mix them together that a Salafi who claims and says he's a Salafi, wants to follow the way of a Salaf al-Salih, a Sufi who belongs to one of those tariqah, as I explained, who's Ash'ari, and who is Ash'ari, and a Shi'i, one who is interested in politics, one who is interested in sports, one who is interested in science and culture, social work, business activities, all found in Islam and can be taken from the Quran and Sunnah through the statements of the scholars of Islam and the methodology of the Salaf al-Salih. How can you bring all these people who have differences with each other together in one group? He founded the formula. Now, about Islam being worship, leadership, religion, state, ruhaniya here, spiritual, it could be what he meant there by being Sufi, or that Islam also takes care of the inward, the heart and the spirit, as long as one takes these aspects from the Quran and Sunnah and the way of Salaf al-Salih, or if he means the Sufism in this, and action, salah, jihad, obedience, authority, mushaf, and safe. How can you bring together groups who are different with each other in the creed, in their behavior, the actions, the ideas, the practices? How can you bring them into one group? When you do this, which is the formula of Hassan al-Banna, that we come together around what we agree on and excuse each other about or with regards to what we don't agree on. You see the formula here? We come together around what we agree on, fine, but we excuse each other with regards to that which we don't agree on. So the Ash'ari would be excused by the Salafi for disobeying the creed of Al-Quran and As-Sunnah and the way of Salaf al-Salih. The Ash'aris do that in some areas of the creed. So they are excused by those who are Salafi, who disagree with their creed, because they are in Al-Ikhwan al-Muslimun. You understand? Also, they don't criticize each other for the disagreements, because they're not trying to erase the disagreements and do away with them and teach against them. Because to teach against them means you have to involve yourself in all of these aspects under Al-Ikhwan al-Muslimun. And you say you're a Salafi da'wah, you call them to the way of a Salaf al-Salih, which means the creed, the statements, the actions, and then you'll find the groups that have disagreement with the way of the Salaf al-Salih, either in the creed, ideas, practices, statements, actions. They're not going to agree. So you're not going to have a unified group. How can you unify them? Around the leadership, see? Because he says, qiyada, leadership. Ta'a, obedience. Hukum. Therefore, according to this formula, you can bring the contrasts together under one leadership. That will be the source of the decision, the source of the leadership for the group. At the same time, everybody keeps their creed and practices. Whatever they agree on, okay, they agree on. Whatever they don't agree on, they don't criticize each other. And this is how you find this incident that happened actually in Kuwait, that two leaders of Al-Ikhwan al-Muslimun were together in a conference. One of them doesn't agree with Allah that He is above the throne, that He is above the creation. And the other one says, anyone who says that will be following a wicked creed. So Allah is above the throne, above the creation. One of the leaders. The other leader says, when he was asked, where is Allah? If we say He's above, we limit Him. No, He's everywhere. That one says, if you say Allah is everywhere, you're a deviant. But they're together in one group. Why? We come together around what we agree on, but what we disagree on, we excuse each other. And we cannot do that without having one leadership, the political leadership. This is the best I can say for this short time. So let's start about Al-Ikhwan al-Muslimun in Jordan. The group Al-Ikhwan al-Muslimun in Jordan was established in 1945, and the first leader of the branch was Sheikh Abdul Latif Abu Qura, rahimahullah, who, by the way, led a group of Ikhwan fighters into Palestine in the 1948 war to defend the Palestinians against the invaders, the Jews. He had met the leadership of the group in Cairo. He liked the ideas, was impressed by the ideas of Hassan al-Banna. And the group was registered as a charity organization in Jordan in 1946. The founding conference that established the group in Jordan was attended by King Abdullah al-Awwal, Abdullah the First, son of Sharif Hussein, the grandfather of King Hussein, and the great-grandfather of King Abdullah of today. He attended the first meeting that established the group, in 1946, indicating the close relationship between the leadership of the group, pay attention, the leadership of the group and the government. 1953, the government of Jordan elevated the status of Al-Ikhwan al-Muslimun from a charity organization to a Muslim organization that has various benefits, socially, culturally, even establishing, of course, schools later on, the hospital, the Islamic hospital, for example. So they were elevated from just a charity organization to multi-benefit group. Now, throughout the history, since then, the leadership of Al-Ikhwan al-Muslimun in Jordan was considered to be in line with the government, have close relationship with them, and sometimes the relationship was strained, but most of the time the leadership that was a reflection of the what can I say? This is the fact that in Jordan we have Jordanians and you have the Palestinians. They're all the same. There's no difference between the Muslims. Especially these two have lived with each other for very, very, very long time. So they're the same people, but this is the way things are. The Jordanians and the Palestinians. So the Jordanians, in their mind, that they are the original inhabitants of Jordan, as some brother told me a few years ago. And that was shocking to me, but anyway. And you had the Palestinians who gradually became the majority. Both of them, most of the Palestinians have Jordanian citizenships, and you have the leadership of the Ikhwan traditionally in line with the government. The younger generation, the lower ranks, they are more into some kind of conflict with the government because they were lured to become members of Ikhwan based on the promises, re-establishing the Islamic community, ruling by what Allah has revealed, which these days is not mentioned that much. Also jihad, Palestine, the Jews, and throughout the decades, those younger people, generation, they're not seeing much difference between this year and the year before. In fact, after the government of Jordan established that peace treaty with the Jews and established embassies, Jewish embassy in Amman, and close relations with the Jews with regards to intelligence at a minimum, the younger generation is bitter and furious. And this is their nature. And they want from the leadership to do more. What about the promises and all this that we came to Ikhwan to establish, and they see nothing is being accomplished and things are getting worse, actually. So this is one aspect. Another aspect, Jordan is a small country, it's very poor. Since it was established in 1921, just after 1921, it has been dependent on aid from other countries, starting with Britain, then with the West and Arab countries. Today, it's a poor country. They are poor in natural resources. Also, they have a lot of people living in that land with even water is not sufficient for everyone. The young people there, doesn't matter, Jordanian, Palestinian, and millions of Syrians, I think 2 million came from Syria. They ran away from the Bashar al-Assad, the criminal who killed them by hundreds of thousands. So you have hundreds of thousands of Syrians living there, a lot of Egyptians. They're all Muslims. They're living with their Muslim brothers and sisters, no difference. So those people are suffering in terms of, it's a crowded country with not much natural resources. The opportunities for young people is minimal, and the young people there are suffering. They want what they don't have. uh, an apartment, even for rent, a job to pay for the rent, a job that helps them get married, maybe buy a car, and not live with their parents. But the opportunities are very limited. There's so many talented people with college degrees, they're sitting at home living with their parents. They can't find the jobs. In addition to the traditional way the Arabs have been thinking for generations, maybe centuries, they automatically think that the government is stealing the money and giving them just something, but taking all the money for themselves and their families. So they have this idea. In this kind of situation, the way the Arab government, similar to the situation in Jordan, and most of them are suffering the same thing, really. Varying, various, uh, you know, different ways, but mostly the same in those Arab countries that are economically backward. What can I say? I mean, this is what it is. So it is the same like there. They have the bitterness, they have the opportunity that they're looking for and they can't find, and they're thinking ill of their governments. And at the same time, people who are in Ikhwan and Muslimun see the leadership that is aligned in many ways, most of the time, not all the time, with the government. And they see the Jews having businesses and things in Jordan, and they're getting angry and angrier, and nothing is happening. So they think that uh, their life is very tough, very hard, and it is. I visited Jordan last year, and I thought that the situation, especially after COVID, was really very difficult. Very difficult. Of course, the commoners always forget that when they go out, there is some kind of organization, there are streets, there are facilities. Well, they forget all that. They keep accusing the government that they're taking the money or whatever, and the governments are not uh, doing what they're supposed to do uh, to help themselves. How can they help themselves? By actually taking care of the young people, because they are becoming more and more and more the majority. They're bitter, they're angry, they're looking for opportunities, they can't find opportunities. How to deal with them? Like I started saying, 50s, 60s, 70s, uh, they think what can I say? The uh, way to solve these problems is to crack down on the people. Tyranny, oppression, oppression. So oppress them, make them be afraid from the government, and then I don't know. They're not. Then it's not going to go away, because the reasons for them being bitter and angry and ready for any hint of an action against the government, they will try to, at least in their mind, um, justify it, because they look at the life they have. It's very tough, and the governments used to hit hard. Things got worse, hit harder, and it's not only Jordan. Just to be fair, they thought that oppression is the key for them to keep controlling these populations, instead of thinking of making things easier for the people. So they are not sitting there waiting for any flare up of violence or anything. The people are angry and bitter, really. I mean, I saw this. My name is Jalal Abu Rub, and I lived, since I left Kuwait, I studied I was born in Kuwait, studied until I finished high school, then left. Since then, I lived in 20 different countries. Keyword Palestinian. And I've seen so many societies and passed through so many experiences that many other people didn't face what I faced. This is, you know, uh, from Allah, and we have to be patient. And many of these experiences were very good. Walillah alhamd, thanks to Allah. So, um, tyranny only produces more enemies. Oppression may, for the time being, make the people, you know, complacent and, but it's not going to go. And as I often say to these small countries, look around you, you will see much bigger and stronger countries going through like what they call the Arab Spring, that leaders yet you would never think that we'll get rid of them. The people got rid of them. Things got worse because it is not an Islamic way of solving anything, those rising up. But anyway, and look at Iran for now. It's a much, much bigger, authoritarian, stronger regime than Jordan. They have hundreds of thousands of people who believe that if you oppose the leadership, the Khamenei, and the establishment, the mullahs, you oppose Allah. See? And look what's happening now, because the people are completely fed up and they're not willing to keep silent about it. And every time they try to say something, the mullahs crush them. So it's happening. So the best thing you can do is take care of the population. Don't pressure them and show them something. For example, their brothers and sisters and all Muslims, including Syrians, Egyptians, Jordanians, Sharkas people, Palestinians who live in Jordan, they have affection towards their brothers and sisters in Gaza. They don't like what's going on. They oppose it, but they see an embassy in Amman. So the least you can do is suspend the treaty, for example. And I know what the Ikhwan and other groups say, but Jordan cannot fight the Jews. They can't. They can't fight Israel by themselves. Israel is just a front, a shop in the front for the plaza that's called the West. They're using their weapons on us. They are sending all kinds of weapons, money, support, intelligence to the Jews so that they can defeat the Muslims, the Arabs together. And look what the Jews doing now. If it wasn't for the West, they couldn't have done it. They couldn't. So to fight Israel is to fight the entire West, and Jordan cannot do it. But in the meantime, you can be kind to your people. Oppression is wrong before it led to problems for you, and you are just pushing people towards the explosion to come. And we don't like that. We, the Salafis, we do not like oppression. We do not like rising up against governments or conflicts or violence, because it's not beneficial for anyone. We'd like to change through reform and through advising and keep teaching. Whether the government likes it or not, we'll keep teaching Tawheed and against Shirk. It's not only for Jordan, for everywhere. Okay? So the best way is show them something, some economic movement, hit very harshly on any hint of any government official who takes money, and many of the times that people accuse them of taking things, they're not true. They have no evidence for that, but appear to be someone who's really thinking about the people, wants their benefit. People want a house, a family, maybe a car, money, job, to buy some things, and then they will not be bitter against you. and take care of their Islam. Take care of their Islam. Take care of their Islam. Do not pressure the Islamic groups in such a way that is, it's like you're asking for it. You're asking for it. It's just the pressure. So recently, the government in Jordan accused Al-Ikhwan al-Muslimun of uh, plotting attacks inside Jordan, in which case the Ikhwan who exist throughout the world, they have lots of money and companies, they exist in the West, they have propaganda machine. They said no, they were plotting attacks against the Jews, so against Jordan, against the Jews, and then they banned Al-Ikhwan al-Muslimun. You see, the relationship between Al-Ikhwan al-Muslimun and the government and the society has been decades and decades. And I thought they banned them before. Actually, I was surprised. I thought they did ban them before, but now they banned them, and anyone who promotes their ideas, threats and this and that, took over their assets, with a major exception. I'll mention it. So now, Ikhwan Muslimin as a group is banned. As an individual is banned. So this is always a bad idea. Banning people, especially Al-Ikhwan al-Muslimun, are much bigger, have a much bigger presence in the world than the government of Jordan and its intelligence agencies, who should take care of the people, and what they do is not for the benefit of the king or his system of government, period. You keep hitting people, in the end they will hit back. And then what we all don't want, that the violence to become spread, and to, violence is not good. Oppression is not good. And if you force people to not exist in public, a bad idea. What's going to happen? They're not going to go away. Ikhwan still exist in Jordan today, whether the government likes it or not, and they know that. You force them to go underground. And when they go underground, while at the same time oppressing other groups because of that, then when Ikhwan goes underground, they like it, they love it. It's in their cultural idea and identity, working in secrecy because oppression and this and that. Nobody knows who's teaching what to whom. That's not good for us, or for them, or for the government. In public, restricting their activities, or allowing those who can respond to their ideas, such as the Salafis, but the government there doesn't want to do anything with Islamic groups or anything. They want their own thing. But in public, at least we know who's doing what, who's saying what, to whom, and we can respond. Let's engage with them. How they lure young people. They have ideas. Let's talk about those ideas. In the same time, freeze your relationship with the Jews, and people will be happy. And as I said, Ikhwan know that the leadership that Jordan cannot fight Israel, but do something. And this way, you take care of the people in their livelihood, of their Islam, and of their sentiment towards the enemies of Muslims and Islam, the Jews, Israel. But the solution is always oppression, banning them. Ikhwan are still there. Nothing happened to them. In bigger countries that were oppressing violently the Ikhwan is still there. They exist all over the world. They have organization. It's a sect. And therefore, what do you think the people are saying? That they are hitting Ikhwan because Ikhwan are opposed to Israel and want action, and the government is with Israel, promoting Israeli interest or whatever. this is what's happening. It's a bad idea. I don't mean to bring them back to public and tell them, okay, go do what you want. No, they have must be a system of uh, exposing their ideas that contradict the Quran and Sunnah. Let the people know. But you're not allowing anybody to teach anything. And the groups that come together and think they are benefiting Islam, Ikhwan, the lower people, the commoner Ikhwan, they think they're benefiting Islam. And you oppressing them, pressuring them, persecuting them is not going to help you. It's going to make them more bitter, waiting for the chance. So I say this, I have no hesitation in saying, and Allah knows the true reality, that the leadership of Ikhwan in Jordan had nothing to do with this planned attack. Why would they jeopardize all this relationship with the government, their existence there, and go through a new cycle of oppression, even violence? For what reason? I'm I have no doubt that if this is a reality and they're trying to attack something is Jordan, you can't do that. Who will attack unless they're attacking Israeli interests as they see them in Jordan, but or attacking the Jews. You can't do that because there is a government in Jordan. It's called the Hashemite Kingdom of Jordan. They're responsible for these things. Now they don't do their duty. You don't come and do their duty for them, because this will lead to the cycles of violence that Ikhwan al-Muslimin very experienced in since they started. It's going to be 100 years in 2 years. Every few years, a cycle of violence in this country between them and the government, and then oppression, and then we destroy them, then they come back. And another cycle, and then here and there and there. They have so many experiences that failed to make them experts in failure, because they don't have a program. They just want to bring everybody from every direction under their leadership and to act as they rule those areas when they don't rule these areas. The leadership of Ikhwan anywhere in the world, they're under the leadership of that country. They can't protect their own selves or families from the government because they're not the government. And my suggestion is, my advice to the government of Jordan, stop this. That's not going to benefit you. I wish that the rulers realize that the intelligence agency is leading them to not good future. It's not good. They're just making people angry and angrier in the atmosphere of no opportunities, to the extent that very few countries allow Jordanians to go there without a visa. They can't find a country to go to without a visa, and most countries will not give them visas. You have people, young people sitting. I passed by one famous roundabout, they call them, in Amman, and then, yeah, young people sitting there at night, joking and things, and eating nuts. What a pathetic way of using this talent for the benefit of the Muslims. And the final thing I want to say to Jordan government: stop going after the Islamic groups because of their calling to Islam. There is a difference. If people call to what is true, it's in the Quran and Sunnah, leave them alone. If they have some deviant ideas, don't push them to the underground, because they're not going away. They're going to bring more people, actually, bitter and angry to their groups. But let the people discuss these ideas and see, maybe some segment of the community realizes that I must keep my children away from this group, for example. But they're going after the groups that teach the religion And even the Sufis, I saw with my own eyes going from their school outside and dancing, the children dancing and chanting. I keep chanting from now until the day of judgment. It's not going to help the Palestinians, or it's not going to help your Islam. Dancing. We have to be serious, yeah, in the religion. And I'm saying here clearly, the only group that can confront all these deviations are those who call to the Quran and Sunnah and the way of Salaf al-Salih, because they have the evidence, the precedence, from the way of the Sahaba, the companions of Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, who established Islam for us, and they are the only ones who don't want anarchy, revolution, or uprisings or violence, because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala does not like the mischief. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen.